Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It's Sunday Night Live. I'm joined by Flex and Sophie. We will also be incorporating our end of season awards, so that's going to be really interesting. But let's start off with Jose Mourinho, a man under fire, a man under pressure, under so much pressure. He's removed his Instagram account with 2.8 million followers. He's removed it overnight because of the trolling he's been getting. Apparent death threats. I don't know. I mean, I think that's too far. But going to go to my guests on this. But I just want to say very, very quickly at the very start. Look, I think in relation to Jose Mourinho, he is the problem at Manchester United. It's his man management issues. The centre-backs he picked yesterday aren't even the two best centre-backs we've got. He refuses to put his arm round some people. Like Paul Scholes said, I'd put Martial in my team. He needs an arm round his shoulder. Mourinho refuses to do that. At the moment, I think the board need to be looking at Jose Mourinho because they are not getting the best out of him. Sophie, what are your thoughts after yesterday? Obviously, we've heard from Flex with all the fan cams. What are you feeling at the moment? Because there's a torrent of abuse for Mourinho today, and a lot of people are tired of his excuses.
I think most Man United fans are feeling that way. As you know, Marco was always Mourinho in, and I'll still continue to back him as our manager. However, I must admit my patience is wearing really thin. The style of play just doesn't seem to be improving at all, and I can't see him changing. So I think it's harsh the abuse he's been getting, but at the end of the day, you're manager of Man United, and that kind of stuff does happen, doesn't it? Sadly, but yeah, I must admit that I've kind of lost my patience.
Mohammed says you guys need to stop harassing Mourinho. It's not nice. Look, mate. Grow up and get in the real world. We're a Manchester United fan channel. Fanzines have been going on for years. And if you've never read a fanzine, what the United fanzines have done in the past, it's pretty vile stuff, some people say. I don't. I think it's just fans expressing their opinion who love this club. For fans to be sat there after yesterday, Flex, and you were at the ground, you know people were paying 200, 500 quid for a ticket yesterday. What are fans supposed to do? Just come out and go, oh, well, off I go, back up to wherever it is. Some people getting on planes to go home. I mean, they've got a right to complain. I do agree that it's too far for big, death threats is ridiculous. Trolling is too far. But expressing your opinion about a manager that, for me, is failing big time at the moment, I don't have a problem with that.
100%. First of all, I haven't seen it for myself because I have just read the news that Mourinho's deactivated his social media account. I think it was Instagram from death threats and took on his fan. First of all, that is, that is way beyond any criticism. Like we know, if you've got criticism aimed at someone, it's to do with their job, and that's it. It shouldn't be personal. So I don't condone any of that stuff. But to the point, do you know what I've started to kind of think? That saying love is blind. That saying love is blind, right? And it's almost like some fans their love for the club. Their love for the club and Manchester United is almost like sometimes blinding them to the fact that there's things wrong. Like it doesn't mean that you're negative or you're spreading negativity because you're quite simply not happy with what you're seeing. And I think that's one of the most annoying things. I think that some people are so, they've followed Man United for so long and all they know is United and all they feel is United and that's all they are is United, which is fine. But I think sometimes that clouds that. Can I actually accept that something's wrong? I mean, I was speaking to some fans yesterday, obviously, as I always do. And in the middle of Paul's interview, a guy sort of come across and was like, oh, you're talking nonsense. You're spreading negativity and da-da-da-da. And I sort of enticed him into a conversation. And by the end of it, he basically just agreed with what Paul was saying. Because I said to him, like, so you're happy with the way we're playing? And he's like, no, our brand of football's not good. I'm not happy with it. And that's what Paul was saying. So it's kind of like his love for the club was like, I don't want anyone to say anything bad about it. I support Man United. But in reality, there are things wrong. It's like some people are too scared or don't want to admit that there's things wrong. That's not spreading negativity. That's not backing your club. And when people say sort of back Mourinho, back the manager, 100%, you have to try and get behind who's trying to do a job at the club. That's our job as fans. But when we're not happy with things, you support Manchester United. You can't first. We're Man United supporters first. We were there before whatever manager comes in, depending on how old you are, and we'll be there after whatever manager comes in. So first and foremost, your love for the club will always come before a manager. So I just think that for people who want to defend Jose, that's absolutely fine. And for people who think that there's no problem if we've made progress, again, that's their opinion and that's fine. But I think that sometimes we're a little bit guilty of allowing our love for the club to cloud what's really being seen in front of us.
I think you're right, because I think looking around on social media today, you get that initial frustration and anger for 12 hours. Then people sleep on it and they start going, oh, it's not been such a bad season. Stop picking on Mourinho, this, that and the other. And they start turning on the people who are quite vocal about it. And then you get the infighting in the division. I mean, look, what I would say about Mourinho is I'm not a manager. I've never been a manager. I probably never will be a manager. And Jose Mourinho, if he stopped managing today, would go down as one of the best managers they've ever been. I get that. I get that he could, twist us all around with his knowledge of the game. But the reality is, that's not a get out of jail card. I mean, Wenger managed the Invincibles and he hung on for too long. And Jose Mourinho, right now, I think fans are right to have a concern about him, because I back him, but I have got a concern about him. And the worrying thing is, Sophie, you've got Paul Scholes coming out now, and it's very, very reminiscent of what happened with Van Gaal, because Scholes started coming out with comments that resonated with the fans, and some of those comments were the one about Martial, but another one, Alexis Sanchez. I mean, yesterday, he was absolutely diabolical, and Paul Scholes said, what is going on with Manchester United? Why was Alexis Sanchez not taken off? And this isn't the first time. It's Manchester United, not favourites United. And when you go through yesterday, there were so many things wrong that I know people want to say it's not just Mourinho, it's the board and the players. But, the selections yesterday, the constant favouritism. I mean, is that going to change? Or do you even agree with that? I mean, what do you think realistically is the problem with United at the moment?
I don't agree with it, no. And like I said to you the other week, the same problems keep happening every week, which then made me think more about, actually, no, this isn't just the players, this is obviously Mourinho. He's telling players to do this, he's telling players to do certain things, and we're all scratching our heads thinking, why aren't we attacking at pace? Why are we passing sideways? But they're obviously being told to play that way. And in terms of favouritism, I don't agree with it at all. I said, Martial, yes, for me, he needs to be more consistent. However, I don't agree with how he was treated. The fact that he was brushed aside for Sanchez, that will knock any player's confidence, especially someone young like him. So, no, I don't agree with it. And I think his man management at times has been very poor. Where he's not the kind that he's openly said this. He won't put his arm around the player and support. But he's got success for being that way as well. I think we have to remember the fact that he has been successful as a manager, and he's always had that same kind of style. However, what you've got to think about now is his style outdated? Do we need something different?
We've got a contribution here from Josh Bates. Thanks for that. He says, as much as I hate Jose, death threats are too far. I'll never forgive him for the way he's made me feel about the club and football. Whoever is signing these managers needs sacking too. Thanks for that contribution, Josh, because it just reminded me, my best man from a wedding, lives in Ireland, and, we don't get to speak as much as I'd like to at the moment because I'm always busy doing this, but he messaged me last night and he just said, very dark times, hard to describe, but I'm hating it. Anything United related, I hate at the moment. So much wrong, and it won't get fixed over one summer. Worrying. Rashford is no Jedi. Pogba get lost. Martial will be better under a different manager. And I think that's the sad thing, Flex, is that people are starting to lose that. We spoke about it about 3 weeks ago. Expectations are lowering. And what I just want to ask you both, but I mean, you can pick up on this as well, Flex, because it is our end of season awards. We've been doing this for 3 years. We put it up on the United Stand website and we do different sort of topics that sort of fit in, a little bit more edgy rather than the boring, young player. So one of the questions, and we've had lots of people voting on this, where will United finish next season? Which sort of fits in with what I was saying there about how people are feeling. I mean, you can only go as low as 6th, but I mean, where do you think we will finish next season? As of now, with your expectations where they are,
it's very difficult. It depends if the rest of the league improves. Do you know what I mean? It depends if the league is as bad as it was this season in terms of all bar City. If it's as bad as that, if it is, then it'll probably be the same because we won't progress. I don't think right now with Mourinho's current style of play. If Mourinho can make the changes that he needs to make, release some of the shackles off the players, take some of the square pegs out of the round holes, that's the $1 million question. If we can look at our full-back area, if we can tweak the top end of the pitch to get them, not even necessarily change all the personnel, just get them gelling, have a different approach to games. But it's a $1 million question. It's so hard to predict where we'll finish, because like I was saying in my review, that technically the only place now that you can count as progress would be first, with second. So if we finish lower than second, then you have to say it's regression, even though there's an argument that we've regressed even though we finished second. So I can't really give a definitive answer. It depends how Jose attacks it. But, hey.
I'll say we've got a little guest, a little United guest.
Who you got on top? Who's this?
um, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
She can have a game if she likes.
Yeah, exactly.
Better than Lingard.
Yeah. Oh, easy. I reckon we'll probably finish about the same. I think we'll finish about the same.
So that'll be second. I mean, yeah. So, where do you think we're going to finish next season? Do you want me to tell you where everyone thinks we're going to finish first of all, and help you out a little bit?
Go on then.
So we've had this is the first category, and with 27% of the vote went third, but 25% of the vote went first, and 21% went second. So, I mean, it's only just people saying third, which would be slight regression. Just under that, some people, 25% of people need to go and have some help tomorrow. I mean, they think we're going to finish first, and then about 21% saying second. So, I mean, yourself, do you think 25% people are right to be thinking we can win the title next year? Anything can happen.
It's hard to judge at the moment because it depends on what kind of summer that we have as a club. Whether those players we sign are going to be suitable and they're going to gel as well and fit into what Jose's trying to do. Jose's obviously got to change some things as well because our style of play at the moment is not good enough. And the gap between us and City, I still think is far too big. I think we've got a few years yet, to be honest, to catch up. So I'm going to say second is my prediction. But I think even to get second, we need to improve because in Liverpool and Spurs, they've been inconsistent at times this season, but the football that they're playing at times has been fantastic. And I think we don't match that at the minute. But, like I say, Jose, depends who he signs in the summer. But at the same time, all those players and the players that we've got at the minute need to buy into what he's trying to do as well. Because at the minute, we've got too many players who don't know the system. They're not too sure what they're doing. We don't seem to have a shape to our team, to be honest with you. Jose doesn't know his best system or his best starting 11. So we've got lots of questions that need to be answered. But if I'm going on current at the moment, I'll probably say second.
And do you think that would be enough for Mourinho? Another second place? Do you think we'll steam for a fourth year if it's second? Or do you think that'll be it?
I think that'll be it.
Yeah, I probably agree. Bayern's made a contribution. He says we need to get Milinkovic-Savic, obviously linked to Talisca today, who I would say is a decent replacement for Fellaini. He's not going to make our midfield brilliant. He's a decent replacement for Fellaini, but I don't think Fellaini will go anyway. I mean, he came out yesterday, Flex. Obviously, you missed it because you were actually at the game, and the best team lost, apparently. And it's one of those, sometimes you lose, and it's really disappointing and angers you, like the Newcastle game. This is Jose's words. But yesterday, it's just one of those games where your players have given everything, and you have no regrets. So that was his response yesterday. And I think the problem with Jose's after-match comments now, and let's forget Chelsea for a moment, it's very hard, but this goes back throughout his last 2 years. I think so many United fans, when I was reading the comments from the fan cams and the watch-alongs and everything today, is that people are almost embarrassed and not listening to him anymore because he will never, ever, ever, ever put any blame on himself. And that's the trait of the personality. That's what he is. It's Mourinho's number one and everybody else second. But it's starting to grate on people now because there's not been one time he's come out and accepted responsibility. Yet we've had players thrown under the bus, lies about best teams not winning. And that's something he's going to have to address next season. I mean, how long do you think, if this continued, you go to the games, what's the sway with the fans at the games with this? I mean, are they genuinely starting to turn against him, or do you think they will just be the Red Army that stick with him?
Oh, there's 100% people starting to turn. I remember at the beginning of the season, when not the beginning, around the period where we started to dip, there were people saying, "Oh, it's Mourinho from then," and that looks way too premature and stuff like that. But as the season's progressed and we've had more and more of those kind of performances that we saw yesterday, there's definitely been more people on the Jose out wagon, if you want to call it that. He's still got his staunchest supporters, of course. There's always going to be people who, no matter what, no matter how bad things are, and to them this might not even be that bad. There are people out there who think we've made genuine progress, who think that we're heading in the right direction, and they still stick by Mourinho. But in terms of the sway, there's a lot of fans I speak to, even fans who are not really on to coming and giving their opinion in front of a camera, just that I speak to off camera. People always come up to me and ask me what I think about things or have a chat about United. And I would say for every 10 people that I speak to, I'm not afraid to say that probably 6 or 7 people are unhappy. 6 or 7 people are unhappy with what Mourinho's doing. Not all 6 or 7 people are saying he needs to go now, but they're all saying something's got to change here because this is going to end badly. And that's from my own experiences of being out on the ground and seeing people week in, week out come up to me and say it. Now, obviously, that's a small amount of match goers. We've got fans all around the world representing millions, so it's not a big sample to take from, I understand. So I'm not saying that that's gospel, and because, out of every 10 people I speak to, 6 or 7 want Mourinho gone, that's what everyone thinks. Of course not. But from the question that you asked me, which is the sway at matches, and especially at Old Trafford, people are losing patience, man. And like I said, if he doesn't find a way to challenge for top honours by playing like this, I can only see it getting worse. I don't want it to. I want him to be able to find a way. I want him to be able to change the way we play, make the players we've already got better, let alone bringing more in. I want him to get it right. I want Jose Mourinho to be successful at Man United. Let's not confuse that. But it's whether or not he can change his ways, man. That's the $100 question.
It is, and I think that when you look at it, that you're right. I mean, people think that, I'll throw the United stand under the bus because I don't like mentioning any other outlets or channels because it's just not fair to slate them. So I'll throw the United stand in this, and you do get top red saying, "Oh, it's the United stand viewers who are global fans. They don't know what it's really like. They don't go to games." But the reality is, I remember with Van Gaal, and we are in contact with a lot of people who go to games. A lot of people who watch the United stand go to games. So like Flex goes to all the games. Yeah. So I remember with the Van Gaal, and a lot of people were saying, you know what, the match-going hardcore fans are turning against Van Gaal. They are probably the first ones who do. Of course, you've got the great fans who are at every game singing Red Army because they bloody love the club. They're not going to start booing their club because they look beyond the manager. But it's a total myth to think that it's the non-match going fans, the global fans who start the negativity. I'll tell you what, these people spend a lot of money going to watch United, and they'll sing for the players and everything like that because that's what they do. But they're probably the first lot who start to turn, really, because they know what's going on. Exactly. And the football's rubbish.
Can I just say something on that? You see this whole perception of like plastic fans and fans who are from far who don't go to games are lesser fans than people that do. First of all, you don't know people's financial situations. You don't know people's personal life circumstances, yeah? And secondly, how do you categorise this? And I've seen this at Old Trafford this year. How do you categorise a fan who, A, wakes up at 3 o'clock every morning for every game to watch the games and know what's going on because they live a million miles away? And B, how do you categorise somebody who has saved, I don't know, £4,000? I met a guy come all the way from Hong Kong. Yeah, and people might call him a plastic this and plastic that. The guy saved up all year for what is potentially a holiday, if you could call it that. But he saved up £4,000 to go and watch Man United one time and come and watch us lose against West Brom, compared to someone who, let's say, pays £800 because they live around the corner from the stadium or in this country. You can't cut that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. I feel sorry for some of these people. Yeah. I hate the fact of that whole, I'm a better fan than you are because I go to every game. Like, some of your opinions may be a little bit more informed because you go to the games. You might see certain things that people don't see off screen. I get that. But to say that people are any less fans, I don't like that. That's like having a long distance relationship with a girl. I live in London, so if I want a girl from Newcastle and I want to go up and see her every week, you can't tell me that I can't fancy that girl. Do you know what I mean? So I don't like that.
I'd end it there, Flex. Go home. That's one of the best metaphors ever. I knew there was a reason we had you on the show. That's good. That was good. Josh Bates says, I want to know what they're doing in training seriously. If you do not know your best team after 2 years, what's a third season going to bring? This team could thrive under Pochettino. I think I'll come back to that one. This is a really good point. And Ahmad Hamada, thanks for the contribution. He says, losing in the Champions League and the Cup in the worst way. 20 points behind City. The same players he slates performed great in comebacks, only when he lets off the shackles. I was Josie in, but after yesterday, I'm 50-50. Sad times, which again sort of fits in what I'm going to say to Sophie there. A lot of people are starting to say this today. 2 years in, we don't know what the best formation is. 2 years in, we don't know what his best 11 is. 2 years in, we've still got a right winger playing at left back. Centre backs change every single week, which you've got to have your centre backs sorted. If we didn't have De Gea, where would we be? I mean, seriously, where would we be? And a lot of people are saying now, well, give him another year. I get this all the time. Give him another year. What's going to change in the next year? He's had 2 years. He's over halfway through the journey. £300 million spent. We still don't know what our best 11 is. We still don't know what our formation is. We don't know what our philosophy is. What's going to change in a year? I'm going to throw you the low baller. As of now, if we had the opportunity of whatever your manager is, would you change it, or do you really think that you've just got to go down that road now and give him the 3 years?
Honestly, yeah, I would change it because I don't think Jose is going to change his morals, his ideas, his style of play is not going to change. He's done it all his career. Why would he change it now? So honestly, if I could, yes. But the thing is, I don't know who I would have instead of him at the moment, and that's always been my puzzle. Who is suitable and who's ready to take on the United job?
I think that's a great point. I mean, is there any? But I mean, I'll throw some names at you. Pochettino, would you take him over Mourinho?
Pochettino I like as a manager, but the thing is, he's not won anything yet. As his style of play is fantastic, and obviously he likes to play young players. I think it would be a risk, but is he a risk worth taking at the moment, do you think? I don't want to see us have to rebuild and start again, but surely looks like it's going that way with Jose anyway. We don't seem to be improving. Surely it's better sooner rather than later make that change, rather than falling further behind City, because I don't want that to happen because the gap is already big enough as it is.
I'll tell you what, I mean, I obviously respect everybody's opinion and everyone who comes on it, and Sophie's obviously a regular, but I really do respect that to say that on the show, because it's a big step to say that. But I think I agree, and Nathan McIntosh has just made a contribution which sort of fits in that. Mourinho's the best around. Who else is there? Chelsea parked the bus. If we did that, Mourinho would get slaughtered one more season. I'm going to come back on that. And Rave Mick 1 says, we will finish third next year and win a cup, but think Jose will get a fourth year. Interesting. I mean, Flex, Sophie's been very brave there and said, there actually isn't anybody better at the moment, but if I could change it, I would, because I don't see that third year going any different to the last 2 years. I mean, where are you at with it now? I think I know for a fact that it was, let's predict. I think probably 60% with Jose in, 40 out, probably before today. I think overnight, it's swung. I think a lot of people don't want to be, but they don't see the change coming because it's such a big change that's needed now. The football's not changing. We don't know the best formation. The players aren't performing, and I think people are like reluctantly. I want to back him, but I've got my head screwed on. I can't see what's going to change.
Yeah, I think there's two sides to that, because there's the side that I keep hearing fans say a lot in the fan cams, which is the question of, yeah, but who are you going to get? Yeah, but who are you going to get? Another analogy is, yeah.
Let's go for two now. Will it be good?
If your partner's been cheated on you, but she's a great cook, or she does the washing well, or you have banter and stuff like that, you go, yeah, but who else is out there? Yeah, but the fact is, mate, is that she's playing you. Like, do you know what I mean? You can't just accept second best sometimes. Like, and that is something that kind of, I think maybe some fans are getting a little bit. I don't know, a little bit like lowering expectancy of like, well, we don't know who else, so let's just settle for this. Is that good enough for Man United? What we should always think is what we're seeing good enough for Man United? Is the input, is the output equal to or greater than the input? And it's not. It's not. For what we've put in, we're not getting enough out right now. So yes, I don't agree with sacking for sacking's sake. You don't want a revolving door. I get that. That's not what we're built on. That's not what we are. But what we are is a team that has an ethos, is a team that has a way of playing, a team that challenges if they don't win. That's what we've been built off. And that's not even just me living in the Fergie days with the Fergie glasses on. Even before that, that's what we was. Yeah, we went through a little bit of period and before Sir Alex come in the 80s and stuff. But under Sir Matt, he laid those foundations that Fergie took on board. And I know Mourinho's not a long-term manager, so there's certain aspects of it where sometimes we can't even really moan at Mourinho, because that whole thing of you know what you're buying when you get it, like you know what's going to happen, and it's like, should we really be moaning at Mourinho for playing like this? Because I
totally agree with you on this, and I'll let you carry on because I totally agree with you on this. I said this today. Look, I understand people's frustration with Mourinho, but who is really at fault? Mourinho is what he's been for 15 years. And he was employed at that. And there's this mythical love letter where he said, I'm going to play the youth and play great football. Where's the proof of that letter? We employed Jose Mourinho, and for 15 years, he's done exactly what he's doing. Not playing great football, grinding out results, and not playing the youth. So why is that his fault?
Exactly. He's just doing what he's done. We knew what we bought when we got him. So technically, we can't be that surprised. The flip side of it is that Mourinho's playing his dire brand of football, entertaining, we're not consistent, but we've still managed to finish second. So some may say it's a pat on the back because you're actually rubbish, but you still finish second. But I do think that's a bit of a smokescreen because the rest of the league has been really bad. You know, Chelsea got it completely wrong. Liverpool will be Liverpool. Yeah, exactly. And De Gea, like Sophie says, where would we be without De Gea? Like, he gets absolutely peppered in games sometimes, absolutely peppered. And yes, the goalie's job is to save shots. I understand that, and to get you 10 points a season. Gea would probably get us double that. Do you know what I mean?
Probably, you know what? We probably would. I don't know whether either of you agree with this or anyone at home, but I thought about this morning. I think, because De Gea is the factor, Sophie's right. If you took De Gea out, who is arguably I believe the best goalkeeper in the world and super goalkeeper, like he literally kept us in that game yesterday because it should have gone 2-0. If you take him out of that and replace him with, we'd still have a decent keeper, but it wouldn't be De Gea. I think we would, and it proved yesterday, we probably would be fifth with Chelsea because they're no better than we are, and we're no better than they are. We're in second place because of De Gea, which is, and I firmly believe that. I think we probably would be fifth.
100%. And the thing is, what you look at, right? When we've the difference between this season and last season is, I think we've finished a few more chances than we would have. Remember last year when Zlatan missed loads of chances and we used to make a lot of chances but maybe didn't score? I think the difference is we've put one or two of them away. Hence, we've scored a few, like over 10 more goals this season, maybe like 12, 13 more goals. So that's great. But like, if you actually look at it, most of the time, even when we've won games this season, how many games have we had this season where we've won, like in the last little bit when we played poor for 85 minutes and then Lingard pops up with a stunner? One that stays in my head, I know it's not in the Premier League, but it sums up some of the Premier League performances. When we played Derby in the FA Cup to get through to the quarterfinals of it, we were awful for 80 minutes. I remember all the fans at that game, this is rubbish, this is what I mean, this is a Championship Derby team. Then Lingard just pops up in like the 88th, 85th minute, I can't remember when it was, sticks one in the top bins, and then they were tired, and then Lukaku ran through and scored. But that we've had so many games like that have actually smokescreened the bad performances. And when what we do is we wait for one individual to make something happen. So against City in the second half, Sanchez turned it on, and so did Pogba. Against Liverpool, okay, fair enough, Rashford did well. But when those isolated incidents don't happen over the course of a 38-game season, you're going to start getting draws, or you're going to start losing 1-0. Or, do you know what I mean? And that's what's happened. I think that's the smokescreen right there.
Bjorn Lundberg says Giggs is the best alternative. He was a great player. If Zidane and Pep can do it, then Giggs can do it because he knows the club. At this point, some people would take that risk. Jared Pesserman, Thank you. He says Pogba, who missed a clean header yesterday, is already on Instagram about some Canal TV thing he's doing 24 hours after final. Pogba needs to grow up. Pogba's a totally different show. I think we might even do a show about Pogba because it's a totally division thing on Pogba. I do get that. And Stephen Dillon also was on about how United wouldn't have the money if it wasn't for Sir Alex Ferguson. I think that maybe there's some criticism in there. Lots of people watching. Please do drop a like on the video. But one thing I wanted to come back to Sophie on there was that Jose Mourinho's come off Instagram. He's obviously aware now of the vitriol of hate that he's starting to get from some United fans, and he will. I don't know whether that will be foreign to him or not. Are we in? I mean, some people were getting frustrated today, saying if he quits the club, and we're furious with those fans. Do you think Mourinho would? I think Mourinho's here for another year at least. But do you think Mourinho would consider walking away this summer? Some people seem to think he might.
No, not this summer, to be honest. I think he'll see it the next year. And depending on how that season goes, I think if anything, maybe he would walk. If anything else, because the PSG job was offered about, wasn't it, and stuff like that. So I think he'll see that this season. But after that, depending on where we finish, then maybe he could. But I still expect him to see out the summer. And next season, he's used to the hate at the end of the day. And like I say, it comes hand in hand with being United manager at the moment. So I think he'll be used to that. But surely something's got to change. I think you'll see next season out there.
Yeah, definitely. I think he definitely will be there. Right, okay, let's go to some of these end of season awards that people have voted for. We'd already said where will United finish next season, and most people went with third, but it was very close. Second, a lot of people said we'll finish first, which I quite like that. Flex, out of 10, where would you mark Manchester United's season if 6 is acceptable, 7's better than average, 8 is good, 9 is very good, 10's excellent, 5 below average, 4 poor?
5.5.
Now that's interesting. I mean, Sophie, what would you say?
6.
6 acceptable, and Flex sort of goes between below average and acceptable. That's very interesting because 28% of the vote was 5 below average, but then 26% of the vote was 6 acceptable, with the next one having 11%, which was poor. So Flex, you're probably about right there because it was 5 and 6 with the very close things. I think I said if we'd won the FA Cup, I was going to say acceptable. So I would probably drop down to 5 myself and say below average, just because we didn't win the FA Cup. I would agree with that. Right, this is a good one as well. So I'll go to you on this one, Sophie. The options were, well, why have United underperformed this season? And the options were Mourinho, the players, the board, or all of the above.
All of the above.
Flex, anything different on that?
No, it's got to be a all-in thing. You're the manager and you set the players out, so usually the players are obviously performing to what you set out, what you work on the training pitch. And if they look a bit clueless, sometimes it is down to the manager, but you're still professional footballers. And there has been a lot of performers this season where some players got to look at themselves. And the board, obviously, with maybe Mourinho not getting exactly what he wanted, but he still had enough to do better than what we've done. So I wouldn't keep going down the board route. I still think we're underperforming with just what we've got, but probably all of the above, yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, keep flying your comments in. I can see a lot of people did agree with the sort of 6 and 5 for the season, and a lot of people are going with all of the above, and that got 50% of the vote. So pretty much nailed on. Although Jose Mourinho was the 40% voted Mourinho, only 2% voted the board, which actually I think the board is technically more culpable than Mourinho, because Mourinho is failing mainly because of his style of football, and they employed that. And not only did they employ it with Mourinho, they did it with Van Gaal and Moyes. I cannot understand why our board has appointed, after Sir Alex Ferguson and Manchester United being an attacking, risk-taking club, we've brought 3 conservative managers in. I'm stunned by that, and I think the board are culpable. But they have thrown money at it, and Flex is right. Here's a little bit more of a light-hearted one here. Fan favourite of the season, Sophie. The choices were, and you might have a different one, you can give one if you want. The fan favourite of the season was either Jesse Lingard, Anthony Martial, Paul Pogba, or Alexis Sanchez. Would you have gone with any of those 4, or would you have gone with somebody else?
De Gea.
Yeah.
Go with De Gea.
Yeah.
After that, I'd probably say Jesse Lingard. I think everyone who's had a decent season on a personal level is going to the World Cup as well.
Yeah.
Flex,
you know what? Martial, I have to say, is a fan favourite, a massive fan favourite, even when he's just warming up, even though he's been in bad form and hasn't scored in the whole of 2018. Well, actually, that's a lie. He scored against Everton, didn't he? But
he lit the final up yesterday. I know he had a few bad touches, but it was his cross. He was the one person who put a bloody corner in, and Pogba should score that every day of the week and Sunday, but I think the thing about Martial is, and let's talk about Martial for a moment, because he's probably going to go. That was going to be one of my questions. Yes, he's very rusty, but I keep saying this about him. Of course he's bloody rusty. He hardly ever plays. But he's exactly. He wants to do stuff, and it's sometimes, you'll know that as well, Sophie. If you're rusty, the mind's giving, but the body's not. And I think that's Martial's problem. He really does light the game up, but the final touch isn't quite there. But he does things nobody else does.
100%. Martial almost, if it needs Jose to say, I know the season's over, but for me, right, Martial, you're going to get 5 games, 5 to 7 games, whether you play good, bad, or indifferent. You're going to get a run in the side where I'm not saying you're exempt from being taken off. Obviously, if it's not going right or whatever, you might get taken off. But I'm going to give you 6 to 7 starts, providing you're not absolutely shocking and woeful. Where it's dead. I'm going to put, and that's what I think Scholes means by putting an arm around him. And people want to say Martial FC, and so many people are, this Martial nonsense. Listen, Martial is one of the best young players in Europe. We've got one of the best young players in Europe. Now, yes, he's been inconsistent, and sometimes that is down to him, but more so it's because he hasn't played. He's a young player. He needs to play games. And when he was playing well, he's just been moved out of his position and then onto the bench and then bit part, maybe that's not how he plays best. Well, clearly it's not how he plays best. But on that, Martial he does need an arm around him. He's that sort of player. And if he goes somewhere else and gets given that arm around his shoulder, I really do hope he don't stay in the Premier League. But
that's what Scholes
you know.
said as well. He said, the danger is he'll go off elsewhere and have that, and then you're in trouble. I mean, do you think we'll see? Do you think that was the last Anthony Martial we'll see, Sophie, or do you think he'll survive the summer? And I mean, it's a tough one. A lot of people think he's gone. That's it.
I hope not, because like you said, just his ability is there. He just needs an arm around him. He needs that confidence rebuilding. Let's face it, Sanchez coming in and him being knocked literally straight out of the starting lineup. That ruined him, didn't it? His confidence, and it would ruin anyone. The thing with Martial is, if you look at all of our rivals, they would all snap him up in a heartbeat. They would take him at their club because everyone knows that he's the big and up and coming talent, and he will be a world beater. I can just see it now. He'll play elsewhere and he'll be fantastic, and I just don't want to see that happen. I'd love it to work out at Man United for him. However, under Jose Mourinho, doesn't seem that's the way it's going to go. So yeah, I do think it was the last that we will see of Martial at United. I hope not though, but I just can't see it going any other way.
Yeah, I think he will go, and it really upsets me. Tyrone Williams has said the problem with United is we've tried to do what Real Madrid did, throw money at the problem. We have youth and should give youth a chance. They'll try harder. Jose Mourinho is the problem with that, and I was very excited when we got Jose, but I did say don't expect him to play the youth. And as Flex was saying before, this is a manager that we brought in that we knew didn't play the youth. So you cannot, we can moan about it because it's the identity of our club, but it's not what he does. And to be fair, if you're employed and begged to come to a club, and Mourinho should be saying to them, look, what made you think I was going to play the youth? What made you think I was going to play attacking football? Did you not look at my CV? And I think that's why the board are a bit culpable. Anyway, fan favourite of the season, I can tell you, and Flex was hinted at it quite rightly, 63% of the vote, Martial. Lingard came in at 22%, which is where Sophie would have gone. Pogba 13%, Sanchez with 3%. I don't think Sanchez is anybody's favourite at the moment. But Martial 63% of the vote. So it just shows you the amount of love he's got in the fan base. Young player of the season. I'll go to you on this one first, Sophie. Young player of the season. I mean, this sort of fits in with what Tyrone was saying there. It's slim pickings, really. I've thrown Rashford in there, but he's sort of a first-team player now. Rashford or McTominay, really. And that just shows you how little youth we've seen. I mean, we haven't seen Angel Gomez, I think, 5-10 minutes. We've not seen any other youth other than McTominay. So McTominay or Rashford for you?
I think McTominay's done decent when he's been given a run in the side. I think McTominay would be my vote, to be honest with you. I know he's very similar to Matic, but I think when he has played, I was quite impressed with him. He's kind of a keep-it-simple player, which Jose likes. And, out of those two, I'd have to say McTominay.
Flex, agree?
Yeah, there's not really much to choose from. It's got to be McTominay, really. Obviously, Rashford is in that bracket at being 20, but he's been around for 3 years now.
Yeah.
So
he's not had a great season either, has he? Really?
And he hasn't had a great season. So yeah, whether you blame that to Mourinho or whatever why you think he's had a poor season, he has. So yeah, it's got to be McTominay, who he's been good when he's come in. He's been all right. He's done himself well as a young player. Whether or not that's Man United level, whether or not that's amazing, that's a different argument. But yeah, he's been the young player of the season out of the 2 years. 75%
of the vote, so the biggest vote swing we've had so far, and yeah, I would agree with that. Just pick up on that, Sophie. I mean, we always say this. You're the one playing at the moment because I'm obviously too old, and I don't think Flex was ever very good. But a lot of people on about this yesterday as well. And we joke on the watch along. We're like betting if he can beat the first man or he can beat the wall. But Marcus Rashford on free kicks and corners. What do you think about that, Sophie? I mean, this isn't Sunday League football. This is Manchester United, biggest club in the world, Premier League, and we're putting someone like that on crosses. They're abysmal, aren't they?
I think we need to put Phil Jones back on them, to be honest with you.
I think it'd be better.
Absolutely shocking. Shocking, and it's just basics. He obviously can't do it. He keeps trying to do that whip, and he just can't do it. He just hits the first man every time. Like on that free kick as well, he just hits the wall. We need to stop it. Martial came and put a ball in, and Pogba got a head from it pretty much straight away. So I think we should need to swap the taker, because Rashford keeps trying that kind of Ronaldo-style drill, and it's just not working.
This is a good one. Sorry, go on, please.
Sorry, on that was one of the most jarring things yesterday, was that watching our consistent poor corners, no matter who took them, but apart from when Martial come on, he whipped in a couple of good ones. But we don't have a set-piece specialist.
It amazes me, because I did play football at a half-decent level, and I could still put a decent cross in. You know, that's not about, you know, I if you put me on a pitch, it would be a laugh. I would absolutely get annihilated for pace and everything. But you put me on a corner, that's a skill of being able to hit a dead ball. I could put a decent corner in.
Even if you just like float one in, like, you know, like if you're trying to use your instep and trying to whip it, put some curl on it, really whip it like a Ward Prowse. Like, even if you're not that guy, like, just clip it into an area then where it's going to cause some form of problem. But we can't even do that.
Matthew McFadden's got a great point here. He says Rashford's lived off that one good free kick he hit against Celta Vigo last year, smashes it as hard as he can and hopes the best in a corner free kick. Useless. And you know, why is he not practicing it as well? I think it's some of the things that are going on at that club are just amateur.
But the thing is, I think he is actually practicing them. That's why he's having the confidence, or that's why he is, in inverted brackets, the free kick taker, because he must be obviously putting the ball down in training and trying to work on it, but it just looks it's not working. And even not even just the fact that we don't beat the first man, just corners and set pieces in general, we don't look a threat from them. It's like there's no like system to what we're trying to do. It doesn't look like there's anything been drilled on the training ground. I can't see any pattern, like someone blocking off a near post run, someone coming in third man run. Like, I can't see any. It is like a Sunday league, which is like, oh, do you fancy going up? Oh, actually, yeah, I'll go up. Oh, you stay. Where are you running to? Front post? I don't know. I might just stay here, actually, and see what happens. Then it just hits the first man. There's no organisation.
Did you see Herrera's yesterday?
Oh, my God. Awful.
That was planned out.
I mean, the thing is, as well, somebody just said it in the live comments, but it whizzed by too quick. I mean, look, we know as fans that we very rarely beat the first man, so why not put somebody in front of their first man to try and flick it on? But we don't even do that. It is stunning. Anyway, this award's really good. This one's really good. Letdown of the season. The choices were Ashley Young, Ander Herrera, Marouane Fellaini, Phil Jones, Paul Pogba, or Alexis Sanchez. Where would you go and why with that one? I'll start with you, Flex, on this one. Who's been your letdown of the season?
That is a very good question. I'm even though he's only been here half a season, I'm actually going to go with Alexis. It could have been Pogba, if I'm honest, because he's been here. This is his second year now. So, actually, no, yeah, maybe that's a bit harsh. Maybe it should be Pogba. Mate. Yeah, I might have to go Pogba. You know, because no. I'm going Alexis.
Stuck on that fence again, isn't he, Sophie?
I'm not. I'm going with Alexis Sanchez. I'm going with Alexis because I think with the hype that was around him, the money that we were paying him, the inverted brackets ready-made player that he should be or is, he hasn't fit into the system. He struggled, and because he's ended up knocking our probably most informed player off their perch. So I'm going to say Sanchez.
And Sophie, would you change that?
I was just going to say about the money that we're paying Sanchez. We paid 89 million for Pogba.
Yeah.
Like, he's not earning that at the minute either, is he? But yeah, I think I'll go Sanchez because he should have been ready. It was his signing mid-season, and what he did to Martial as well. I think he hasn't really done much since he's come in. He keeps trying a little wonder flick ball, where he's dropping ways to receive the ball, and it's just really ineffective. So yeah, I'd say Sanchez as well.
But Pogba is a close second though, because that's why I was on the fence, because that's what I mean. Sophie's right. We've invested huge money into be here for the next 10 years. Do you know what I mean? So with Sanchez, it's a bit more short term. That's why I think he probably shades it. We got him for the here than now. And I know Pogba, you want him to hit the ground running, but it is a longer term project. And Sanchez is like, boom, you're displacing our most informed player, so you better be on stuff. And he hasn't been, so that's why he just shades it for me.
I think in the live comments, a lot of people are saying the same. But Robert Morgan says the biggest disaster of the season was signing Alexis Sanchez, but there are people saying Pogba as well. But I think it's just about with Alexis. The actual vote itself, it was Pogba with 22%. It was Sanchez with 57%. So that's a bit of a landslide. That, and I think, you know, just in closing, I think that is the problem. That signing messed up our season, and it's not as simple to be Martial FC. It's Rashford, it's Pogba probably more than anyone because he gets in Pogba's way. Lingard was brilliant in December and January. No one ever mentions that he's become very average since then. So it's disrupted. Mata's hardly had any game time. So it's not just as simple to just say messed up Martial. When you think about it, there's a lot of players, and on top of that, his performances are crap. They're rubbish. And this excuse of, I'm unsettled. You're a Premier League footballer. You're the best paid Premier League footballer. I don't care about you being unsettled. You can go on a football pitch for 90 minutes and do something you've been doing for the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Put in proper performances. And he did put a couple of good tackles in yesterday, but we need a hell of a lot more. And that signing has been a disaster, and it's had a massive let.
He should have come off yesterday, because if I'm honest, I know Rashford had a poor game and Jesse wasn't their best, but at the moment they actually got taken off. That was when they were just actually starting to have a little bit of influence in the game.
Yeah,
I think,
I agree.
if I remember correctly, Rashford got taken off just after he had that shot, didn't he?
Yeah,
but
which was an over. You know, that wasn't an easy chance because Lingard had overhit the pass. He was stretching. It's an outcoming. So
you could argue that Alexis should have been the one to go off, really, and Jesse was just started to impose himself on the game. So we were trying to ramp up the pressure. So, you know, but
he needs to improve massively over the summer, or we're in trouble, because he's going to get picked every game. He never wants to sub him. Please do drop a like on the video. Really enjoying all your comments. And the next topic we're going to talk about, well, we're doing our end of awards whilst talking about these topics as well. The next one is, let me just have a look at what's a good one. Yeah, performance of the season. Is there? I mean, I can give you the options, Sophie. I mean, you might have a different one to this, but the three most popular were Man City away in the league, Arsenal away in the league, or Spurs away in the FA Cup.
The fact it was against Man City, that second half was fantastic. But I must admit, I loved the Millie Rock at the Emirates. Arsenal away in the league. I think that was my favourite performance of the season. So I'm going to say Arsenal for that one.
Yeah, I agree with that. Flex, anybody at home? I mean, any other results that? I mean, the trouble is, everyone you talk about, and I think this is something we've not mentioned tonight. There's not one 90-minute performance, which for a footballing side is awful. It's always half, isn't it? Even yesterday, dreadful first half, second half were a lot better. But that's the story of our season as well. We don't play for 90 minutes; we play for a half.
I think that's why the Arsenal one stood out to me, because I think that's probably the longest that we've played.
Yeah.
At a decent level. It wasn't one half or the other. I thought for that game I thought we played really well. Pogba, Jesse, Martial were all fantastic in that game.
Yeah.
Pogba obviously getting trouble in it, but I thought overall that was probably the best performance. Whereas City was more of a half and half game. So.
Flex, I mean, you've been at a lot of those games. Is there anyone that really stands out as your performance of the season?
Do you know what? It's difficult because throughout the whole season, I'm struggling to pick one game where we've been dominant from start to finish. I don't really think that's happened all year. Even when we beat Arsenal, although it was a good win, 3-1 in the end, we got absolutely peppered. And really, De Gea, he saved us. Like, really, how Arsenal didn't score 3 goals on that night, I'll never know. Well, De Gea just done his thing. And we were a bit more clinical with the 3 chances that we had. So that wasn't a full-on 90 minutes. The City game, again, like Sophie just said, it was a good second half against Crystal Palace. That comeback was it was great to be there, and the euphoria was mad. But again, it was a poor performance, and then we brought it back. So if I'm choosing the pick of the bunch, I would say the City one, only because what was riding on that, not in terms of us catching them, but obviously them winning it in front of our faces. They had their flags out. They were ready. They thought it was a foregone conclusion. We probably did as well, to be fair to us. I remember I was in Vegas thinking, do you know, I can't really see much joy out of this. And then when we were 2-0 down at half-time, you're probably thinking it's good. And it should have been 4s at half-time, really. Let's face it, it should have been 4-0. Sterling had his shooting boots on. So for that alone, I'd probably say that game there, even though we went and lost the next game. Anyway.
Sally Devil Red 7 just made a great point there. I mean, are we even fit enough to play for 90 minutes? And I think that's been shown by the fact that back in January we were bottom of the league for distance covered. We don't press, and that fitness thing needs to be sorted out. It's a disgrace for a club like Manchester United. But no, I think I would have gone with the Arsenal, but unfortunately it's not the winner. Man City away in the league, 67%. So that, you know, obviously the emotion of beating City, even though it was only half a game. I remember the half-time watch-along and people were absolutely fuming. You couldn't see that happening. But, you know, it was a good performance in that second half, and was one of the few times Sanchez and Pogba actually played well together. Let's whiz through some of these then. Worst performance of the season, Sophie? There was Sevilla at home in the Champions League, Chelsea FA Cup final, Huddersfield away, or Man City at home back in December. Worst performance of the season for you? Which one?
I didn't see Sevilla at home, but I think for the whole fact that we should have literally walked that team, being at home, that's so embarrassing. I'm going to have to say Sevilla at home. I was not expecting us to crash out of the Champions League at that stage, and to see Liverpool in the final there as well now, it's just, I think, a really embarrassing stage for the club to go out on. So yeah, I'm going to say Sevilla at home.
Agree with that, Flex, or is there any other game that's disappointed you more, really?
Yeah, there's been loads of awful performances this season, but Sevilla is the one that, even when I'm speaking to fans about Premier League stuff week in, week out, the amount of fans who say to me that they can't let that Sevilla thing go, they just cannot forget about it. Even being over there in Sevilla, seeing us get absolutely toasted, that was like a 1-0, that was like a 0-0 battering when we went to Seville, and then to see us not even be in the tie, especially in the second game, it was that was the worst performance of the season. If I'm thinking of a Premier League one, I could name loads.
You know what it is for me? It definitely is for me, and I'd probably put it ahead of Sevilla, because I remember how I felt at the time. It was Man City at home in December, because we got ourselves, after the Arsenal game, Watford, we got some really good results. We played really good football with the 5-3-2, and it was a system that really, really worked well. If we'd beaten Man City, I think we closed the gap to, was it 8 or 5 points? We would have given ourselves a chance.
Eight.
Yeah, and we totally and utterly changed our formation, went long ball, and well, it was where Paul went hoof, didn't it? And that one was the big disappointment for me, because it was just like, you've got us into this great position playing this good football, and then you've totally and utterly got your tactics wrong. So that one for me was probably the one. But I suppose it's the Sevilla game it got 81% of the vote, so that, a landslide, because it was symbolic, I suppose, of what's the problem.
100%. And then if you look at like Huddersfield, Brighton away, not so much Newcastle.
West Brom, who went and beat City and lost to West Brom the week after anyway.
West Brom, awful.
Newcastle away.
But the Newcastle one was like, do you know what? When I was really mad when that happened, but when I actually look back at that, we should have got something out of that game. That was bad finishing.
Well, Martial missed the sitter in that as well.
Yeah, and then Sanchez missed the sitter. All he had to do is tap in an open goal.
Yeah, and he took a touch, didn't he? Yeah.
So, in that game, I that's probably one of the few times where I have agreed with Mourinho, where he was like, you know what, on a different day, we would have won that game. But other than that, yeah, there's been so many bad games. And then, like you said, the City one at home was just absolutely shocking. It's poor, man. Poor.
Very quickly on this one, Sophie, signing of the season for you. We've made 4. Lukaku, Matic, Lindelof, and Sanchez.
I think Matic. I know he's like a boring player and stuff like that, but I think he's probably been one of our most consistent players. And I thought yesterday he was probably the one player, I'd say, especially in that first half, where I know he took too many touches and stuff, but he's not the guy that you want to be running past players, but he was trying to make stuff happen. So I think it's closest one between him and Lukaku. Lukaku's done well in his first season as well, considering the service that he's got. So I think it's close on Matic, Lukaku for me, but I'm going to say Matic. I'm a holding midfielder, so I'm going to go with that option.
Stretford Enders 99 says Lukaku, Guitar Man 96, David Ashwood, Mark Westerman. A lot of people saying Lukaku. Would you go Matic or Lukaku? I mean, you can't give it Sanchez or Lindelof, really, can you, Flex?
No, I would just shade it with Lukaku because he's had to deal with like so much criticism from me, from all the other fans, like with whether or not he can cut it.
Just on Lukaku though, I'll ask you this. I don't think Lukaku's developed under Mourinho. I don't think Lukaku's better than he was at Everton. I just think Lukaku's a good player who's scored goals. I don't think he's any better than he was at Everton. I mean, people want to put him in the category Mourinho's developed him. I don't think he's developed him at all. I just think he's the same Lukaku.
I don't think this might be controversial. I don't think Mourinho's made not one of our players better at all. Lingard was already trying to do bits under Van Gaal and was getting brought in, and then he just got injured for that season, was out, and then Lingard's taken that opportunity himself. I don't really think that's Jose making him better. Rashford's gone backwards, Martial's gone backwards. De Gea is just a world-class keeper, so in any team he's going to be amazing. The full-backs are just aging, so you can't really expect them to get better. He's brought in Lindelof and Bailly, to be fair. Bailly looks our best defender, but hasn't really played for, only Mourinho will know why. McTominay, we can't say he's made him better. We could say he's given game time, but I don't know if he's made him better. So, yeah, Lukaku's just doing what he's always done in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's definitely... I agree, he's been very, very good, but he's no better than he was at Everton. He's the same Lukaku. I don't see... We've spoken 100%. About his first touch, and that's not improved. He's still good, but he's not developed, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I think that I'll just give it to Lukaku just because obviously goals is what's highlighted, and he's managed to get 27 goals. Although I would like way more than 16 of them to be in the league for the amount of games he's played. If you actually break it down, Martial's got 9 goals, and look at the game time compared to him and Lukaku's only got 16 just in the league. If you want to be challenging for top honours, yeah, we've got other problems, but your main thing is all top strikers. You need 25, 30, 35 goals just in the league now. Do you know what I mean? So minimum 20, 25 just in the league. So
okay, the service he's getting as well, though.
yeah, and probably don't play to his strengths. He probably do a better job of playing to Lukaku's strengths than we do. Do you know what I mean? But he has got 27 goals, so he's done well. Considering people were like, nah, he's going to be poor. I think he's had to deal with that, and he's shown a good bit of passion. Because there was a period where he hit a Baronsbow, he couldn't score for ages. And I remember people were getting on his back saying he shouldn't be playing. And I remember when he got the first goal after that Baronsbow, he didn't even celebrate. I remember that. I can't remember if it was against Old Trafford. I can't remember. And he just didn't celebrate. Yeah. And for the next couple of games, he didn't really celebrate. It took him a while to get his passion back. Where now the fans literally sing his name. Do you know what I mean? They sing his name. Man United's number 9. So,
There's a little bit of excitement in the live comments that Fellaini's not renewed his contract. Look, until he leaves, I won't believe it. And on top of that, there's a negative to this. That if he leaves because he wants to leave. We know for a fact that Mourinho and the club have offered him 3 contracts. If he turns them down, I'll personally be very happy. But actually, why should we be? Because our manager wants to keep him. That's the problem with that. So I'll believe it when I see it with that, but we'll have to see. Also, rumours tonight about Talisca potentially going to Liverpool. If people don't know who he is, did a video at lunchtime. Just click and watch it on the homepage. It tells you everything about what he is, height, age, what he can bring to the team. You can watch that. But really, really enjoyed it. Thanks for coming on, Sophie.
Thanks for having me on. And thank you for having me on all season as well. Hopefully a better season next season.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're not going anywhere, are you? We're still doing something
else.
No,
I'm not going.
And Flex, obviously still going to be involved, but you can have a break from the fan cams for a bit.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind of a crazy season. I was going to say a great season then. God, no, it hasn't. It's been a great experience. Thanks for everyone for all the support. We're just happy to enhance the United stand. I'm happy to bring something to it as well and keep building and keep giving you guys a platform to get your voices heard, man. It's been really good. I appreciate every single one of you, even the people who don't like me. Actually, I've still got time for you as well.
Well, there's genuinely people who don't like you. I know loads of people who don't like me, but
there's loads of people loads of people accuse me of all sorts of dividing the fan base, calling me names. But it's all love, man. It's all good.
Okay. Well, remember we've got Transfer Daily tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. That will be going up. People are getting very, very excited about Fellaini.
What have we missed? Is the news just broke that he's not signed? What's happened?
Abdaf says, we are saying Jose didn't get Perisic, but look at Bay and Lindelof, he brought them and they're not even playing Jose out. And I think DiMarzio might have said something. The reality is, I would not believe it until he's left the club. And I know there are good journalists out there, but I wouldn't believe it until he's left the club. But maybe we can cover that in the morning. 7 a.m. tomorrow for Transfer Daily, and tomorrow night's the Skype show, or we might have something special planned. I don't know yet. We'll see about that. But thanks everyone for watching. Drop a like on the video and get a comment in below if you've not been watching live. Lots of things covered there, and as Flex and Sophie will testify, it is all about your opinions, and that's what makes the show what it is. So speak to you all very soon. Thanks for watching.